Okay. I think I finally got this figured out. Oh my goodness. Please tell me if everything is okay because. Oh. So, hey guys, I'm finally live streaming. I've had so many technical difficulties. This is why I don't like doing things live. Something always goes wrong. Like, my main microphone wouldn't connect. And then I had issues with the stream, and somehow my practice stream, you guys were able to see it apparently, and now my dad is vacuuming, so if you can hear me, that would be a miracle. So, what's up? How do you like my ginger hair? I wanted to talk about Doctor Who, so I'm like, oh, well, that doesn't really fit into like a video, so I'm just gonna live stream because I want to talk about it. And one of my favorite characters on Doctor Who is Amy Pond, who has ginger hair. And I have this hair because I went to my first Comic-Con like 2 years ago and I dressed up as Amy Pond. So that's why I have this wig. So yeah. Oh my goodness. Hi. Thank you for joining me. I hope you guys can hear me okay with this crappy microphone and the vacuuming and stuff. So, let's get into Doctor Who, I guess, and then you guys are free to ask me as many questions as you want, and I'll try to answer them all. And asking questions helps me because I'm not just like rambling on trying to think of something to talk about. Hi, Rosie. So, Doctor Who. If you have no idea what that is a show, science fiction, is probably one of the longest running shows like available. It's been running since 1960s and it's still going today. And the reason why that's able to do it is because of the unique way the show's set up. Basically, there's this guy or person who calls himself the Doctor. He's an alien, but he looks like a normal person. And he regenerates at the end of his life into someone else, but that still is like a different body, but it's still him. And that's why it's been able to go on so long, because they just keep switching who the Doctor is. Right now we're up to 13 doctors, and I just started thinking about it more because I think like a few days ago 3 of the doctors got together for like a live chat. It was David Tennant, who plays the 10th Doctor, Matt Smith, who plays the 11th Doctor, and Jodie Whittaker, who plays the 13th Doctor. And that just got me thinking about Doctor Who. So, basically, the show is very, I would say, NE. There's a lot of NE in it because the Doctor is typically an NE dominant. Not always, but like a lot of the time. A lot of the Doctors are ENTPs, so there's also a lot of like TI. And then he has companions who basically just like follow him around with his adventures. Amy Pond is one of his companions, and she's my favorite. My favorite era is actually like Matt Smith, who is the 11th Doctor. And then Amy Pond is his companion, and Rory is another companion. And that's like my favorite period. Hi, Sora. That's cool, Morocco. She's from Morocco. So let me guys know if like you know what Doctor Who is, because I don't want to be like boring you by like going on about this show. Also let me know if like if I'm like skipping out or something, because I can't really tell on my side. Yeah, Ray says they love Doctor Who until, yeah, the agendas. That's actually something that bothers me too. I feel like as Doctor Who is progressing, they're getting more into like catering to like current popular agendas, and that does bother me. But anyway, I'll go back to, this is something that reminds me of the video I did on like values, like flexible and inflexible values. When I first watched Doctor Who, it was there's like the old Doctor Who and then the new Doctor Who. The first one I watched was the first episode of the new Doctor Who with the ninth Doctor. And I watched maybe 1 or 2 episodes and I was like, this is really strange and corny. I'm like, I don't want to watch this. There was like mannequins and like gassy aliens, and I'm like, what is this? So I actually like put it down. I was like, I'm not gonna watch that anymore. And then a bit later, I actually was like started watching it again, and I'm really glad I did because like I became a fan of it. And as I went on, I was like, oh, I like this show. And I feel like also every time a doctor regenerates, there's like a strong reaction from the fans because they're kind of like dubious of who the new doctor is going to be. And I remember when like David Tennant, the 10th Doctor, regenerated into the 11th Doctor, and it was going to be Matt Smith. And when Matt Smith was announced, I was like, oh, who is this guy? He looks so weird. He has such a weird face. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to like him. And he ended up being my favorite Doctor. Like, once I watched him, like, I have a crush on him now. And I actually find him attractive now, even though I thought he looked weird. Because, like, he is a very, like, kind of like Benedict Cumberbatch. Like, he has a very, like, unique face. But I think he's attractive now, and he's my favorite Doctor. I actually saw him in a play live in London. He was in a play called The Lungs, and like I was kind of fangirling out a bit because that's like a really cool experience to like see an actor like act live. But anyway, and then Amy Pond is an ENFP, and she's my favorite companion. She's played by Karen Gillan, who I actually is like my girl crush. And if you haven't um if you haven't watched Doctor Who and you're not sure who she is, you've probably seen her in like Jumanji or the Marvel movie. She plays Nebula. But you can't see her beautiful ginger hair in that. So but yeah, like actually what got me on this was because like I feel like INFPs can be like really intense fangirls sometimes, like because they're really passionate about things like we care about. So like if we care about like a series or characters, we get really into it. But like I was just like watching old interviews between Matt Smith and Karen Gillan and like noticing like the chemistry they have. And I believe Matt Smith had a crush on her like back when they filmed Doctor Who, and I just find that like really cute. Like I ship them. Yeah, Doctor Number 9 and Rose, I like them. Like I've liked the 3 doctors in the row. I liked number 9, number 10, number 11 was my favorite. Then once it got to 12, like I kind of lost interest actually in Doctor Who, and because I didn't like the Doctor, I didn't like his companion. And for me, I've noticed that like the characters really kind of sell a series for me. Like if I don't like the characters, then like I'm not going to be into the show. But I know like some people are different, like depending on your type. Some people enjoy like the overall story and stuff, and like the individual characters don't matter as much. But for me, it's like I need a connection with the characters or I'm not going to be into it. And then the 13th Doctor was the first woman Doctor, and I like her as an actress, but I watched a couple of episodes of her, and just like the writing wasn't good, and just like the episodes weren't very good, and I just like I didn't have interest in continuing to watch it. Yeah, Captain Jack. Yeah, he's quite a character. Hello. Yeah, a lot of people like David Tennant as their favorite Doctor. I like him, but I like Matt Smith more. But anyway, like, I was gonna see if I could get any UK people to like weigh in on this because like Doctor Who is a big thing in the UK, in England, because like most of the characters in the show are like British actors and it's like filmed by BBC. But yeah, that's my round. Doctor Who. Go watch it. It's a very unique show just because like it's been going so long and like who knows when it's gonna end. Like it just like it could literally go on forever. Like because of the way it's set up, like the Doctor could just keep reincarnating. But yeah, if you like science fiction movies, like it's kind of like they kind of fly in space and stuff like that, but there's like I don't know, like real world elements to it too, because he's like a time traveler basically. But yeah, for me, like the number 11 Doctor is like the best era in my opinion. And I'm still debating about his type. Like a lot of people say like they argue between David Tennant and Matt Smith. David Tennant's Doctor being like ENFP and then Matt Smith being ENTP, or those switched. But like after like I'm still thinking about it, but like now I want to say that like both of them are ENTP. But it's been a while since I've watched David Tennant. Well, actually, it's been like a while since I've watched either. But like I'm not convinced that either is ENFP, and to me, David Tennant seemed like the harsher of the two. And like Matt Smith seemed like softer in comparison, which doesn't necessarily mean that he's like not a thinker because like it makes sense to me that he has FE. But anyway, like I said, like most of the doctors are ENTPs. And then yeah, my favorite companions, Amy Pond's an ENFP, and then Rory, who is a guy, is ISFJ. And like I really like those two together because it's like Amy is just like kind of crazy, but in like a cool way. And then like the Doctor is very like NE, like, oh, let's figure this out. And like I feel like him and Amy play off well against each other. Like they make really good friends. And then like Rory is very kind of like the sarcastic, like I don't know, he's very sarcastic, but he's also like that judger who's like, oh, we gotta think about this. Like Michelle, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's actually my first super chat donation. And I actually like debated about putting the super chat on. I don't know, like partly because YouTube takes like a big chunk of it for themselves. So like I'm not getting the full amount, but like I wanted it to make it worth like if you guys have questions or something or you feel like you want to donate something, I appreciate that very much. Brandon, you like Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is like a good character. I liked him. I think he was INFJ. I'm I'm not like 100% sure of that, but it seems like he was. Rose was actually an ESFP. She was a good character too. Yeah, I feel like it would benefit me to like watch them again, like watch the episodes again with the idea of like paying attention to their types, the characters' MBTI types that I'm not sure about. Hi Gabe, how's it going? I guess that's all I have to say for now about Doctor Who. The vacuuming is still going on. So I guess I can get a little bit into English culture, which I said I was going to talk about. I don't know if you guys will find this interesting or not, but I did study abroad there for 3 months. So, yeah, I'll share a little bit about what I experience English culture like, and a little bit about like some of the MBTI types I met there. Michelle, is there a way we can donate where YouTube doesn't take a chunk? I did have like a PayPal, like I almost put it up today, but then like I had so many issues with my my live stream. I'm just like, forget it. But next live stream, I'll try to put it up for you. Cause yeah, that makes sense. Cause like, you know, if you're donating, I'm sure you don't want like half your money to go to YouTube. Like you, yeah. So English culture, I have to admit, it was a bit of like, it wasn't quite what I expected. I like idealized England a lot before I like stayed there for an extended period. I briefly visited there for a few days and I'm like, oh, England's the best. Oh my gosh, I love it here. And I have to admit, like, I wasn't quite as enthusiastic after I was there for 3 months just because of the experiences I had. I was in like East London, which it's not quite center London. So I had to like take a bus if I wanted to go into central London where all the like the big things are. But technically I was still in London. And I think part of the reason why my experiences weren't quite as great was because like going to school and then trying to like sightsee and travel like don't mix very well for me. I think I would have had a better experience if I didn't have to worry about school while I was there, and like if I just like only had to worry about sightseeing, because like I feel like that was a lot of pressure for me. But well, I guess first I'll say, in my experience, British people aren't that polite. That's like a stereotype that is like, oh, British are so polite. And not in my experience. I'm sure some of them are very nice, but in my experience, they're not that polite. Like, I didn't see it like a difference really between like being in America politeness and being in London politeness. Um, like a lot of English people are actually very blunt and like they don't go out of their way to like be nice to you or anything. Maybe it was just the people I met because I mean, London, like, city people are probably gonna be, like, less polite than, like, if you were in a suburb area or something. Like, there were nice people, like, I think I was in, like, Edwinstowe, which is kind of, like, out of the way. It wasn't in London, and I was trying to find my hostel, and it was nighttime, and, like, my phone wasn't taking me to the right way, and I stopped and asked these people who were, like, in their car, and they ended up, like, letting me ride with them. Like, I'm just, like, a stranger, and, like, they let me ride with them so they could, like, drive me, like, a short, like, down the street to, like, the hostel, and, like, that was very kind of them. But I've had other people just, like, a lot of people would just, like, bump into you and, like, don't even care and, like, stuff like that, like. And another thing about British culture is that alcohol is a huge thing there. It is, like, in America, I'm sure, like, I don't know, like, alcohol is kind of, like, can be part of your social life, but it's, like, nowhere near to the level as, like, in Britain or the UK. Like, they grow up, like, as alcohol is part of their, like, social life. It's, like, on a way higher level. And, um, it's kind of weird if you don't drink there, and, like, I personally don't drink alcohol for, like, several different reasons. Um, so, like, it's kind of weird if you don't drink if you're in the UK because it's, like, such a, like, prominent thing there. And, like, even at the college I was at, like, I know, like, the age to drink is lower in England, but, like, they were, like, the college staff was, like, encouraging the students to drink alcohol. Like, they would try to, like, get them to come to events, be like, "We have free alcohol, come to our events." And I don't know, like, I guess I'm talking about this too much, but they chugged down so much. I'm like, how did these students not have alcohol poisoning by now? 'Cause they would drink so much alcohol. Like, I don't know how they even, like, functioned. And, like, there were drunk people all the time, like, at 4 a.m., like, making noise, and I had to keep calling security and being like, "I'm trying to sleep, like, get over here and tell these drunk people to shut up." So, yeah, like, I didn't appreciate that personally, but I did find 2 girls there who didn't drink. Of course, they were young, but so the way the dorm was set up was that each, like, hall, I guess, or each floor was kind of like your flatmates. And I actually like that better than, like, how my college is set up because my college, like, comparing the two is kind of, like, more isolated because, you know, you're just in your room. You don't have to talk to your neighbors. Like, you don't have to, like, be, you know, connected with them in any way. But, like, in the college I was at in London, like, your hallway was shared with, like, maybe, like, 6 other people, and you had, like, a shared kitchen, and, like, sometimes we would, like, walk down to events together, and, like, it felt, like, much more connected just because, like, it kind of felt like you were a group, and, like, you would get to know them a little more, I guess. You love the Britishisms. That even right. The food was not terrible, like, I'm not really sure what that I don't know if it's, like, the type of food. Like, the one thing that bothers me a little if you go out to eat is that, like, I feel like vegetables aren't as prominent for some reason. But I fix my own food a lot of the time because, um, like, I didn't have, like, a meal plan at the college. So, like, I would go to the grocery store and like buy food and like fix it at my dorm. And like their grocery stores are fine. Like actually like their fruit and vegetables are cheaper than they would be in America. And I appreciated that because like I like eating fruit. So I wouldn't say their food was terrible that I can remember. But like then again, I didn't eat out like a super lot. I think I would appreciate seeing more outside of London. I saw a little bit, but like I have a feeling I would enjoy the culture a lot more in like small towns or something like that. I actually wasn't, I mean, I hope I'm not offending anybody, but like I wasn't thrilled with East Londoners' accents. I mean, like the posh or like the standard British accent is like the one you typically see on like BBC movies. And I'm not saying I only like that accent because I like other like I like Yorkshire accents, like Northern and like but like Eastern, like I wasn't that impressed. I mean, they don't have to impress me, but like I don't know, like their accents were just like But anyway, two of the girls that were in my flat, um, they were both quieter, so like we kind of they were the people I talked most to in my flat. Um, one of them, of course, I asked them about their MBTI types and I gave them a test. So, not everyone took it and not everyone knew theirs, but one of the girls said she tested as INFP, but now she feels like she's like an INTP. And like I wouldn't say I got to know her like super well, so um I'm not sure about her type for sure, except I know for sure that I could see her NE, but she was like a more like I feel like she had anxiety to be honest. Um but she was like very sweet. Like I could see her as an INTP maybe, but like I'm not really sure about that. Like I I don't know. She was she had NE high in her function stack for sure. But besides that, I'm not gonna like I'm not 100% sure what she was. And then the other girl said she was an ISFJ, and she was also really sweet. She was super quiet though. Um, yes, this is a wig. Yeah, I like disclaim that in the beginning of my video because when I wore this for Halloween, like some people thought I had dyed my hair, and I'm like, no, I didn't dye my hair. And they're like, oh, phew. They're like, oh, it still looks good. Yeah, this is a wig. It's kind of, it needs like combing out. California. Nice. I have not been to California yet, but I would like to. Anyway, I feel like I always notice when someone's quieter than me because like I feel like I'm very quiet and she was quieter than me and I feel like I deviate into like trying to like if everyone else in the room is quieter than I am, then I feel like I become a little more extroverted. And I tried to like make her feel comfortable so she would, feel okay like talking and stuff, but like she didn't talk very much when I was around. And I feel like she was more comfortable with like the NE girl because they were closer, they were in the same major, and she would talk to her, but like when I came, she would just smile a lot but not say much. But they were both like sweet, and it was nice for me to like find someone like I don't know, who I could connect with on some level, and like who wasn't into like drinking, because pretty much everyone was on campus. And I mean, like, I feel like most people don't realize how that feels because like a lot of people do drink, like even if they're not super like binging, like they'll drink occasionally. And it's just kind of awkward when it's like everyone else is drinking but you. And it's not fun, like seeing like everyone else be drunk, and if you're not drunk, it's like, okay, bye. But anyway, the other types of people I met in uni, is what UK calls college, um, they had a psychology club there. It was pretty small. There weren't very many people in it at all, but I like joined up for an activity. We ended up watching the movie Donnie Darko for the first time. It was a very bizarre movie, and we were trying to like puzzle out the meaning of it at the end. And the two founders of the psychology club were an ENTP male and an INFJ female. And they were actually both Norwegian, which was interesting. Like a lot of Norwegians end up going to college in England because of if they want to go in psychology and counseling, because apparently it's like something about like they don't have that option in Norway or something. Like it's not accepted or something. So it's like if they want to go into that field, they have to like go to college elsewhere. So I found that to be interesting. But anyway, yeah, like the ENTP and INFJ were nice. Um, and then there was an ENFP professor. He had a very like a posh accent. And he was very like he was like the male version of the ENFP female teacher and my advisor that I have at like my current college. It was weird. But yeah, like ENFP teachers tend to like want to help the students learn, and so they like employ like goofy ways of like they tell a bunch of corny jokes. And I don't know, he was fun. He was a like really nice teacher. He taught like a huge class though. Um and he was even saying, it's like, I don't care if you sleep in my class, but it's like a poor waste of your time. But yeah, I actually like saved one of, because he like recorded his classes. I saved one of them just so I could like hear his posh accent. Um like I feel like he has like he said like people enjoy like hearing his voice, like students. Like I feel like he would be a good like audio voiceover or something. And then my psychology teacher was a man, and he was definitely a thinker. He was probably either like INTJ or maybe INTP, but I want to say he's a judger. And I don't really have, I mean, my first thought would be INTJ, but if not, he's definitely some kind of TJ. He was very blunt, and I don't know, he was kind of intimidating to be honest. But I actually like learned the most from that class. Like that was my favorite class because like I feel like I learned a lot about, it was about psychological disorders and health. And I feel like I learned more from that than I have like most of my other psychology classes, just because I found it interesting, and I guess like the way he taught it, because I feel like teachers like make or break a class and how much you're learning from it. Okay, so does anyone have any questions? Could be about MBTI, England. I feel like the thing I appreciated most about England is that they have a lot of like parks and stuff like that, and their parks are really cool. I visited a couple of them. One of them was Richmond Park. It was walkable from my college, and they had like groups of wild deer in the park that were like very used to humans, so you could get like really close to them. And of course, like I didn't go up to them like out of respect for them. Plus, it's like it was rutting season, so like it wasn't safe anyway. Plus, it's just like it's disrespectful to be like getting too close to them. But like it was amazing, like of how many they were and how like they weren't really afraid of humans. And then in Hyde Park, well, actually, in several places around England, there are wild parakeets that are like bright green and they look so awesome. And just like I feel like parks in England looked a little bit like wilder than like the American parks I've been to. So like I feel like my favorite part about England was just like nature. I am studying psychology in college. And I was talking a little bit about my experiences when I was studying abroad in England. Yeah, INFPs in nature. That's just like our first love, basically. Besides England, this is from INTP Paul. Which other countries have you visited before? I have visited Prince Edward Island, Canada, Nova Scotia for like a day. I have visited Norway, Germany, and Scotland. And also Amsterdam and Brussels for like half a day. Would I ever visit Japan? Japan isn't on my top list of places to go to. Um, I would maybe consider it because like my cousin currently lives in Japan and my other cousin has visited a couple times and they all like love it there and say like how great it is and stuff. So I wouldn't say like I wouldn't ever visit it, but it wouldn't be in like at this time it wouldn't be in my top list of places to go to. You're welcome, Alice. Yeah, I feel like I like to travel every like couple years. Like I just get the urge. Um I almost went to Italy. I was so close. I was trying to plan it out, but it was just too crazy because like with my school schedule and like trying to squeeze in visiting all these places, it just stressed me out too much and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to save this for another time. But for sure, I would like to go to Italy. Um I like to see like Rome and Venice and like I don't know, maybe some other small towns, but like I feel like it's more intimidating when you go to a country that doesn't speak English. Like if you go to a country that speaks English, it's more like relief off your mind that like, oh, if you get lost, you can just ask someone for directions. If you're not, like it's kind of scary if you don't speak the language. I'm not saying you can't do like you can't get around, but like I mean like in Germany, like they don't speak great English there in my experience. And this one time, I think I told you about this in another video, like I was at a train station at night. I was waiting for the last train to get me to the town I needed to go to, and it was delayed for like an hour, and I didn't know what was going on. And everyone I asked either like didn't speak English or like didn't know how to help me, and that was kind of scary. But I feel like I would be less concerned if I had someone else to travel with, because like I did all my traveling by myself or with like a group tour. But yeah, most of it was by myself. So it's like, yeah. I actually was like, I saw this cool thing about apparently in Turkey, they really love cats. Like they have a lot of stray cats, but they like take care of them and they like feed them and take them to the vet and stuff. And I was like, oh, I want to visit there. But I'm like, looking into Turkey, like I wouldn't go there alone. It's too risky. Spain and Hungary. That's interesting. Um, I know like one of like my tour director for one of my group tours when I traveled, he was English, but he moved to Spain and apparently he loved it. But he was very extroverted. He was an ESTP. So, yeah, he loved it there. Gunya, that's interesting. I can't say I know very much about that. And well, people say that places like Norway and Iceland and stuff, like they're good places to move to for introverts because people are more introverted there. But I can't say I saw a whole lot of that when I was there. Like again, people are more blunt there, but like I can't say that I got the impression like, oh, all these people are introverts. Like I don't think I got that impression, but it could just be of like where I visited. I will say that like out of the places I visited while I was studying abroad were like Scotland, Norway, and Germany. And I will say like I really loved Norway, even though it was the coldest out of the places. It was cold, but it was really awesome. Like I really liked it there. Yeah, a Europhile. What are some of the personality types of some of my family members? Well, all of my family members are sensors, and I believe all of them have extroverted feeling. So I am the only one who has FI, and I'm the only intuitive, which can be rough. Um, I know I also have a lot of judgers in my family, so I am a perceiver, so yeah. My mom is an ESFJ. My grandmother is an ISFJ. My dad, he's hard to figure out. Like, I've been trying to figure it out for a while, but he's very hard to place. Um, I think he's probably like I was debating between like ISFJ or possibly like ISTP or something like that. But I mean, probably like I don't know. It's hard to say. But like for now, I'd say like ISFJ is the closest. And then my brother, I used to think he was an ESFP. But now I have reason to believe he may be an ESFJ as well. Like, you think I would have a better handle on like my own family members' types, but I feel like it can get hard sometimes if you're like kind of too close to someone to like see them clearly. But yeah, like if those were all correct, they would all be judgers. Like I feel like my brother and dad have some perceiver traits, which makes it kind of difficult to say. Yeah, being the only intuitive does suck. That's cool. Learning a lot of European languages on your own. I think it would be cool, like, to learn like Norwegian. I mean, currently the only language I'm trying to learn is French. Oh, that I forgot to say, I have been to France as well. I like forgot to mention that. I look like Black Widow. Thank you. I guess. She's she's not one of my favorite Marvel characters, but I have to admit this wig kind of does look like her. Black Widow's MBTI would be ISTP, I believe. Oh, cool. We got someone from France. I'm actually about to start my French beginner 2 class in about like a week and a half. So I'll be learning some more French. I feel like it's very hard for me to speak it, but I'm getting better at like reading it and like understanding through written form. I'm doing pretty well, I guess. I don't know. It's an okay day, despite my technical difficulties. So, how's it been for you guys with like COVID? I know it's drawn on much longer than I thought would happen. I thought I was kind of expecting things to go back to normal in like the middle of May, and that didn't happen. Yeah, and I know like different countries and different areas are in different stages of like, I don't know, precautions and stuff like that. Uh, Currently where I am, we still have to wear masks if we want to go to the store. Um, and yeah, like being around people, like you're supposed to wear a mask. But like I feel like a lot of the precautions are very kind of sketchy. It's like, oh yeah, you should do this, but it's not reinforced. So you're like, well, what am I actually supposed to do? Because like down at the beach, like they open up the beaches and stuff. And it's kind of, I guess, up to you if you want to wear a mask or not. It's kind of unclear. Yes, I do know enough French to understand comment ça va, if I'm saying that right. Ça va was like one of the only things I picked up when I was in France, and it just like, I don't know, stuck with me. Let's see, I have been looking for more MBTI couples. Like one of my last videos I put out was about like ENTP and INFP through film. And I'm having a hard time actually like finding couples for like some of the MBTI couples I want to do. So it might be hard It's just kind of frustrating because it's like, oh, that's a really good couple to do, but it's hard to find like characters that match up with what I want to talk about. Yeah, for a lot of us, no COVID life, no, bleh, no COVID life and COVID life are not that different. Yeah, I would have to say my life isn't very much different in a lot of ways. Like, I wouldn't be going out much anyway. I mostly just like stay home and am on my laptop or something. And like, I'm still able to like walk in parks, which is like the only like out of the house activity that I really am into. Uh, kind of obsessing on ENTJ right now. I'm an ENTP. Is it just like the type itself, or is it 'cause like a specific ENTJ that you're obsessing on? Ironically, I'm kind of into like thinking about ENTPs right now. Um Partly just because like a lot of the shows I happen to be watching have ENTP characters. I don't know if you guys have watched the TV series Psych. It's an older series, but um it's on Amazon Prime, and the main character is an ENTP who pretends he's a psychic for the police department, but he's really just really good at like deductive reasoning and like noticing details, like a lot like Sherlock, to be honest. And it's like a humorous kind of like detective series, and I'm rewatching that right now. And then, like I mentioned, a lot of the doctors from Doctor Who are ENTP. Yeah, that's true that there's a problem between certain types according to socionics, therefore less likely to find some types as couples. That's true, but I feel like still like some of them would still be more common, like I would like to do videos on like INFP and INFJ couple, and then like INFP and INTJ, and I'm having a hard time finding either one of those, and I feel like they would be common enough that there would be at least one couple out there somewhere. INFP supervises ENTP and can hit their bipolar somehow. Yeah, I feel like I read a little bit about ENTP and INFP recently, and I feel like the main I guess conflict they can kind of have is INFP's FI clashing with ENTP's TI. And I feel like that's where a lot of their troubles can come into. But I feel like if they can get past that, then like they can make it. You like Mean Girls, like the show, the movie? It's been a while since I watched that. Okay, any other questions? I hate like running out of things to say. uh, let's see. I honestly am like mind blanking right now. INFP and INFJ have problems because INFPs don't like SE and INFJs use SE under stress. That's true. Like I've said before that like SE is like my least function that I'm drawn to. I think it can just be difficult because like they don't share any functions at all. But I've heard of like INFPs and INFJs like becoming great friends and stuff like that. But like it is true, they don't share any of the same functions, so like I could see why it could be like they are coming from such different places. I mean, even like ENTPs, you don't see them a whole lot with INFPs. You do sometimes, but it's not as common as like ENTPs and INFJs. But even like ENTPs share some functions, like they have NE and SI with INFPs. Oof da is one of the most common Norwegian expressions. Being surprised. Is it, how do you pronounce it? Is it like oof da or is it said differently? Being shocked. Oof da! To be honest, it sounds like a Skyrim shout. Like I feel like when I'm saying it, I'm gonna like blast someone, like send them flying. Oh yeah, I will have to say, like, I have visited Paris and also like a town outside of Paris, and I would say there's a big difference. Like, it is true, the stereotypes you've heard of like Paris people being rude. Like, in my experience, they pretty much are. But French people, like, in smaller towns outside of Paris are like really nice. It's interesting because my French teacher, like I said, I'm taking a summer class, and she sent us an like introductory email and explaining that apparently French people are very blunt as well, and like they just like don't want to waste time and they just say things straight. So she's like, yeah, like don't be offended because I'm just gonna like tell it straight, and I'm like super blunt. And I'm like, great. Okay. So I know if I like pronounce stuff awful, she's just gonna flat out say like that was awful. Do better. Oh, Iron Feather. Nice hair, Amy. When can you come to 2020 to save us from everything going on? Yeah, that would be nice if the doctor and Amy could time travel to 2020 and like save us from this chaos of like riots and pandemics and who knows what else. Oof da. I'm still not sure if I'm saying that right. The tricky thing with like words in a different language is like a lot of the time they're pronounced very differently from how they look. That happens with French a lot. Anyway, what was I talking about? Um, like I did want this like I said in my post about the live stream, I would like to try to do a live stream once a month if I can, even though like it makes me nervous doing a live video, and like I feel like I run out of things to say and stuff like that, and like technical difficulties. But like I feel like it would be nice to have more of like a laid back time where like we can just connect and like chat, or if you have like questions, like it doesn't necessarily have to be only about MBTI. But like I will like try to connect it when I can, like with Doctor Who. But yeah, like hopefully it'll be nice for us to just like chat and chill. No, not a live stream every week. That's too much. No way. I can maybe do once a month, which seems okay. Yeah. I mean, what subject would you like me to talk about now? I mean, there's always MBTI, mental health, psychology, or maybe a little bit of like personal life. I mean, honestly, I've gotten super lazy during the quarantine, and like I feel like this just proves that like I would like to be like an entrepreneur one day, but I feel like self-discipline is something I struggle with as well as consistency. So, the pandemic being quarantined, I feel like just proved to myself that I can't be trusted to just like be left to my own devices because I will just like be lazy and not do anything. Like it bothers me like of how many months I've been quarantined, like months. And like I feel like I haven't done anything. Whereas like at the start of quarantine, I was like, "Oh, good. I'll have time to like do this and like all this time I don't normally have time for." Or all the stuff I don't normally have time for. And like I didn't do really hardly any of it. And I'm just like, "Why?" Fun trivia: depending on the dialect, it's usually easier for Norwegians and Swedes to understand each other than just between Danes and Swedes, or even Danes and Norwegians. That's interesting. Is it because like Norwegian and Swedish is more similar? I used to have like a fascination with like Vikings. Like I went through a period where I was all into that. Um I think it was partly because like after I watched like How to Train Your Dragon like way back when, and then I was like gonna make like a story about Vikings, and I like researched all the history about them and stuff. And like I still find that kind of interesting. It was actually cool when I was in Norway. I got to visit like a Viking village, and the people in the village actually like live as like I guess Vikings would. Like legit, like they like just sleep in these wooden houses, and it's cold there, like without like a fire or like heat or anything. It's just like this wooden like shack with like this like just plain bed, and that's it. And like they have like these homespun clothes and stuff. They like spin the wool themselves, and it was actually super awesome because when I visited it, there happened to be like no other tourists there for like an hour. So I had the place to myself. Like I had the village to myself, and I just like they had this kind of like commune fire that they like gather around, and I was just like sitting by the fire because I was freezing. I didn't have warm enough clothes, and like I was just like listening to them chat and stuff, and like I feel like that was like a really cool experience. I should have an INFP in nature live stream next. That would be a cool idea. I couldn't take my laptop with me though, so it would have to be on my phone. I've never tried a live stream from my phone, but I don't know. I guess that would work. I do plan on filming video in nature in the future. That's interesting. I'm not really super familiar with like how different like Danish and Norwegian are, but that's interesting. I would be able to tell if he's FEing me because they draw out our FI in stories. Who specifically is he? I look totally different in this hairstyle. I think I do, because like hair actually makes a big difference, like more than people realize. Like just like changing your color or something. You're just like, who is this person? I do not have any Norwegian ancestry. I wish I did. That would be really cool. But like to my knowledge, I don't. Norway has the greatest variety of regional dialects. Interesting. Like I do know like I feel like English is common for them to speak there too. So like they spoke like most of the people I talked to spoke pretty good English, like better than Germany. Like I actually can't specifically remember hearing anyone speak Norwegian when I was there. Like maybe I just wasn't paying attention. INFP in nature is super legit. 'Cause like we practically are part of nature. Like I feel like nature would be like I actually do feel like my ancestors would be like trees or something. Are INFPs most likely to succeed in school? I feel like that totally depends on how invested they are in what they're studying. And it might also depend on what kind of student they are. Like, I know, like, I do pretty well in school, but that's partly because I'm, like, a perfectionist, so, like, I want to get good grades. But, like, I would say I do well. Do you mean, like, succeed in school as, like, they get good grades, or, like, well, I don't know how other way you would put that then. I guess it would be good grades. Well, INFPs have a problem with procrastinating. So if they can get past that, I would say they would do pretty well in school as long as like they like what they're doing to a point. Like if they like they hate their major and they're just like I hate this, then they're probably not going to do very well. Because like part of their motivation is tied to their feelings. But like part of it is like determination as well, I guess. I don't know. I would say averagely they can succeed pretty well in school. I feel like this summer has gone by really fast. Oh my goodness. Oh, I missed the previous line. Oh, I did. Sorry about that. Um, it's possible if your mother. My mother is 100% ESFJ, not INFP. Like, I'm 100% sure on that. That's like for sure. My dad does seem like an introvert for sure, I would say. But he's more kind of like, I don't know, he's not as like cut and dry, I guess, as my mom is. Yeah, I think inferior TE and INFPs make them want to succeed. And like they want to like achieve, if they have a goal set and like they haven't changed their mind on it, that like they do want to succeed at that. And to be honest, I feel like that's partly what motivates me in school. Do I count my calories in quarantine? No, I don't. I haven't really. I went through a brief period where I was trying to lose weight, that I was trying to like count calories, but that didn't last very long. Um, although I could lose some weight, but I'm just like, whatever. I don't have the motivation to do that. Like, I do say that like I try to eat healthy in general. Thankfully, like I like fruit and vegetables. So, like I try to have one of them at every meal. Um, and like a lot of the snacks sometimes I eat are like fruit, but I also eat like I like a lot of dairy, like ice cream and cheese, like fatty stuff. And it's also kind of different cuz like my parents have been off and on the keto diet, which is basically like you're not eating any carbs, you're only eating like meat and vegetables. And it's kind of difficult because like they typically cook the dinner. So if I want to have like a potato or something, like a lot of the time like I just have to fix it myself, or if I'm too lazy, like um I just have to like just eat like a piece of meat and vegetables. And like for me it just feels kind of weird. Like it feels like there's something missing. Like it doesn't feel like a complete meal somehow. And it also doesn't fill me up enough. It like I'm hungry afterwards. Like I need more than that. But I don't know how that would be affecting my body really. Can we get a shout out to George Floyd, 33 days sober? I'm not exactly sure who that is. I don't know if I should know who that is. Is it like a famous person or is it just like somebody? I don't really keep up with like news much, to be honest, at all. Like even like with the pandemic, like most of the time I don't look up stuff. I don't like unless it is coming to me from a different source. Like I don't seek it out, and I just feel like that's better for my mindset to not be like constantly reading the news and stuff like that. And like that goes for politics too. Just like I don't need to know all of that. What's your stance on the IQ theory and how valid is it among all 16 MBTI types in your opinion? The IQ theory, excuse me, I'm gonna get a sip of water. The IQ theory being that like those who test a higher IQ are more intelligent than those who test with a lower IQ. I would say it shouldn't be taken as like 100%. I feel like intelligence comes in different ways. There are different types of intelligence, and the IQ test only measures one type of intelligence. So if you get a high score on it, you could be good at like a certain type of intelligence, like what is that, like spatial, like math and puzzles and stuff like that. You could be really good at that, but you could have like really bad like emotional intelligence or something. So I don't think that necessarily measures how smart you are in general. Like I will say that like if you score in a really low score, like that's considered like mental retardation, that's probably says something like you need like assistance or something. But like if you score really high on it, like I don't necessarily feel like you're smarter than everyone else. I just feel like you just may be good at that certain kind of intelligence, whereas other people may be better, like more intelligent at other different types of intelligence. So like I don't really believe like the thing where it's like, "Oh, I got this super high score on my IQ. I'm better than all of you." That kind of like superiority thing. So like I feel like that goes among all the MBTI types. Like take your IQ score with a grain of salt, because that's not the only intelligence that needs to be measured. Yes, my live stream bot reminded me to drink water. Moisturize me. Yes, I guess that would be inferior SE. I'm terrible at like remembering to drink and eat. I need reminders. Do most INFP feel insecure about their looks even though they are decent? I know a lot of INFP can be insecure. I'm not sure if it's specifically about their looks. I feel like that would have more to do with like low self-esteem. If INFPs have low self-esteem, then I would say yes, they can be insecure about their looks. And I relate to that too. It used to be worse when I was younger. I used to be like really insecure about how I looked. I thought I was ugly. I thought my nose was like big and like monstrous. Um, and that was stemming from low self-esteem. And I feel like I've worked on that a little bit, but I don't feel like it's completely gone. But like, I don't think I'm ugly anymore. But sometimes, if you're really insecure about a specific feature of your looks, that could be like body dysmo dysmorphia, dysphoria. I can't even say it. Like I know I can see the word. I think it might be dysphoria, where it's like you're seeing something as like different than it actually is. Like I used to say like I'm never going to find love because of my nose. Like no one's ever going to love me because of my nose. And that is probably body I can't even say dysphoria. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But is where it's like a certain feature you're seeing it as like monstrous when it actually is not. It looks like average. But like in general, I feel like most insecurity about looks comes from low self-esteem. What do I do in my free time? Um, I watch movies. I scroll like the internet. I research things that I find interesting. I go for walks in nature. Um, I would say the only really hobby I'm doing right now, well, besides walking in nature, if that's a hobby, is like my videos, like editing and doing my videos because I've started doing them every week now. So I'm like spending more time on them. Sometimes I play The Sims 3 or Skyrim. Oh, wow. Yeah, you see how out about I am. I don't even know who George Floyd is. Like, I know the event that happened, but like, I didn't look up anything about it. So, yeah, you can see how out of touch I am. Yeah, I'm aware of like how people started rioting and protesting and stuff, but yeah, I just feel like it's so disturbing that it happened like right after COVID. Like it really makes me feel like the world is like going like it's destroying itself. 'Cause it's like, when have we had such like major stuff happening? Like 2020 has been the most insane year probably ever. Oh, it's SI. Yeah. I feel like it's SE that makes me more unaware of like what my body is doing, like bodily sensations, like you're hungry and stuff like that. But yeah, you're right. It's SI that causes us to be bad with food, and that's why choosing SI partners would be helpful because they can remind us to eat. Oh, thank you, Alice. Remind me so much of Lily Reinhardt. Do you play Roblox, Minecraft, or Fortnite? I don't play any of those. My friend keeps trying to get me into Minecraft, and I'm like, I'm just not into it. Like, I haven't actually played it. He's just showed me it. But like building things, that's like my ISFJ friend is like really his thing, but it's not really my thing. And like I feel like there's not really like enough of a goal in Minecraft. I'm just kind of like, what's the point? And also another thing that I have a big issue with is the graphics. I'm like, these graphics are the most horrible thing I've ever seen. Why do people play it? Yeah, that's my opinion. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I feel like COVID hasn't affected me as much as you might expect, but I feel like now it's starting to wear on me a little bit just because it's extending itself. And like things are still going to be affected for like the rest of this year when I go back to school. And I just really hope that like nothing happens so I can still like, cuz I'll be graduating in May. So like I don't I want to have like an on-campus experience for that. Do you think the Enneagram is just as good as Myers-Briggs? Yes. Like I feel like they're kind of what's the word? Like complementary to each other. Cuz like I feel like Enneagram shows like more of our personality to like complement MBTI. So it's like you're an INFP. Okay, that shows me so much your personality. But then you're an Enneagram 4, wing 5, which shows me like more of like why you act the way you do, like your core, like your fears and motivations and stuff like that. And I feel like it's very helpful to know like both of them together. Like I feel like it just adds like another layer of like understanding to someone's personality. Do you procrastinate work? How do you actually do the work instead of keep thinking about it? I'm probably not the best person to ask about that because I do procrastinate a lot. Uh, yeah, that's a real issue that I have to work on. And there's different reasons you procrastinate. If just like you're too lazy, you don't feel like doing it, or you're like you're anxious about it. So like to put off feeling anxious, you don't do it, which just still makes you feel anxious. Or you are like afraid it's not going to be perfect if you have perfectionism issues, which I also have. So you're like, oh, if it's not going to be perfect, then I don't want to do it at all. So you just procrastinate because of that. How do you actually do the work instead of keep thinking about it? I mean, even though like I hate deadlines in a way, I feel like they are helpful. Because like if you didn't make a deadline, you would probably never ever do it. And that's something that's been helpful, like for me getting my videos out every week now, which I've never done before, by just setting a deadline for myself of like, you have to get a video edited and posted by this day every week. And like if you can like make it like something you don't want to break, you're like, oh, I can't break this deadline, that might help you actually do the work. Like maybe getting into like a routine. But if it's something you really hate doing and you're just like, if it's like a schoolwork assignment and you're just like, I can't stand this, I don't want to do it, like you might just have to force yourself by like setting a timer and being like, okay, I'm gonna do this for an hour and then I'm gonna like take a break or something. But like it really just depends on like what your work style is. But there are some things that like I've I didn't set a deadline for and I just think about it and never do it. That's how things be sometimes. You're welcome. Yeah, that actually sometimes happens with my videos too. Like I sometimes like will be thinking about a video idea like for months before I actually do it. Because like they tend to be more like either involved videos or videos that I'm not sure I should do. But I just keep like imagining like how I would like do them, usually like at night when I'm trying to fall asleep. So have any of you ever been to a Comic-Con? I mean, I'm sure like probably they're all canceled this year. Oh, I also had a question. What is the difference between a nerd and a geek? Is a geek just like someone who likes movies and stuff or like Comic Cons, and is like a nerd just like they're more like math and like and that's what makes them a nerd? Because like I'm not sure if I'm a nerd or a geek or both. Nerds keep learning? Oh, a geek is into tech stuff. I thought it was the other way around for some reason. Oh, well now there's. Wait, which is it, the geek that keeps learning or the nerd that keeps learning? For some reason, I thought it was like the nerd who was into like tech and stuff, and the geek was just, I don't know, into like Star Wars or something. Nerd. For books for exams. Hmm. Well, I mean, whichever one that keeps learning. Okay, okay, I guess I'm a nerd then. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are both. So a nerd is into like learning and I don't know, is that like fandoms? And a geek is into tech and science. It was interesting. Well, I don't know if it was interesting. I don't know if I should say this or not. But like, actually, maybe I won't say it. Never mind. I will never know. Alright, does anyone have any more questions? I know this stream is a tiny bit delayed. Did we ever get any British people here? I guess not. It's probably like too late for them now, because like in England it's probably like getting like 11 o'clock right now. I feel like I need to look up the definitions of nerd and geek now. A nerd just wants good marks and good performance. Geeks study out of curiosity. Well, I definitely study out of curiosity. So like you're saying a nerd is like the Hermione of school who just wants to like study a lot and like get good grades. And a geek is just like, oh, I'm just gonna study because this is so fascinating. My college major is psychology. My courses, I don't know if you mean like my individual classes for like the next semester. Oh, you're in London? Z3RO0. That's cool. I don't know if you mentioned it or not. I must not have seen it. Thank you for joining. So, what was your opinion on, I don't know, what I said about English culture and Doctor Who? Oh yeah, my courses, I mean, I still have several psychology classes before I graduate. I'm actually taking several art classes next semester because my minor is visual art. So I'll be taking like a pre-art therapy class and photography. And then I'm taking some other like, oh, I'm also taking intro to criminology, which might be kind of interesting because like I feel like that's kind of related to psychology. Yeah, I've heard like it's more like COVID is more bad in the UK right now, but I'm not sure because like I don't look up any news apparently. Uh, yeah, there still are restrictions in the USA, but they've lifted some now. Like I guess I don't even know if we're still in quarantine to be honest. I think we are, but it's not like strictly enforced anymore. Like we still have to wear a mask if we go to the store, but I guess we can have gatherings now and stuff like like beaches are opening and stuff like that, but like other events are still canceled, like concerts and stuff like that. Yeah, I have to admit, I don't feel like I'm cut out for city life. Like in London, like if you don't have a car, you have to take the bus, and I found that very annoying because it takes you so long to get anywhere. You have to like walk to the bus station, you have to wait for the bus, and then the bus makes a million stops. Like it would be pretty quick if they didn't have to make stops, but of course they do. So basically, like on average, it took me like 40 minutes to an hour to get anywhere that I wanted to go because like of the slow bus. And then sometimes like the bus like won't wait for you, like if you're late. And like one time I was like running to the bus station and the bus was there, and then he closed the doors and I was like tapping on the door and he just ignored me and drove away. Like bus drivers. And like you have to wait like sometimes like 20 to 30 minutes for the next bus. Like sometimes it's less. But yeah, like I feel like the bus started wearing on me. Like public transportation is draining. Like I feel like you don't realize it till you have to do it a lot. Like I couldn't do that every day. Like I couldn't live in a city and do that. And then like the tube, I guess it can be faster, but it's not a pleasant experience really, especially if it's crowded. But the buses are just ugh. Yeah, it is always fun to know about different cultures. That's something I enjoy about the internet is like I feel like you get to see where you get to like interact with so many people of like living different countries and ways than you do. Like I feel like I've met like much more diverse people on the internet than I ever would have in real life, which is great. Oh yeah, Zero, you'll have to go back. Yeah, the beginning of my feed, I was talking about Doctor Who and like English culture and also like some of the MBTI types I met when I was in England. Um, my semester for the spring ended, well, it didn't end. Like they made us all get off campus like halfway through the semester and we did remote learning. But then everything seems to be on track for the fall semester so far. Like none of the exam dates are moved yet. But I know like in England typically like the semester goes a lot longer than America. Like like technically I was only there for like half the semester when I studied abroad because I was only there from like from the fall till like December. And I think like it's kind of counted as one semester to go from like the fall to the spring, which is kind of interesting because like I feel like you would get more like in-depth learning by like continuing that long in one class versus like it's much more crunched if like you only have 3 months for a class. Oh, you're a computer science nerd. I seem to be coming across a lot of them lately. Like a lot of people in like I don't know, computer science, like engineering and stuff like that. Turns out INFPs are good with languages. That is actually one of the stereotypes of INFPs that apparently it's easier for them to learn languages. I haven't found that true in my experience. I don't find it very easy. I mean, I guess I did okay with my French. Like, when I was in England, there was like a lot of stuff that went wrong with my French class, and I ended up like they didn't communicate me that the date change, and I ended up missing like half the classes, and I only attended 2 or 3 classes out of the whole semester, and then I had a final exam and I ended up getting an A in it because I did my own studying. So I guess I didn't do too bad at that, but when it comes to like learning a language in general, I don't feel like I have any special gift. Like, I don't feel like I'm that good at it. But I'm sure some INFPs are. Yeah, limit numbers in stores, public transport limit 10 on a single day. Oh, 20 on double. That would be even worse with like public transport. Like, if it's being limited, it would take even longer for you to get anywhere because it would get full really quickly. Yeah, you're moving out of one and you can't handle it anymore. Yeah, that would not, like, being in a city would not be in a good place to be in during a pandemic. And especially if you take public transportation, it's just like, no. An INFP's best friend said to me to tease her. So does that mean she is into me or has a thing for me? It's hard to say because like there's not a lot of details about like why did she say to for you to tease her friend? Like, was there any other information she gave? Like, did she kind of insinuate that her friend likes you? Or did she just go up to you and say, like, tease my friend? Like, I wouldn't say that's a bad sign. It's kind of hard to tell without the reads, like, more information, but I mean, at the very least, like, if her best friend is, like, communicating stuff to her, like, it doesn't mean that she dislikes you. Like, if she wants you to tease her, that's a good sign, I would say. The tube is just too crowded. Getting a seat there is tougher than finding a ferry. Yeah, I'm actually so glad I did my study abroad last fall instead of this spring, because I would have been there during the pandemic if I had chosen this semester. And that would have been awful because, like, I basically would have been screwed. Like, I wouldn't have been able to see anything. Like, everything would have been messed up, and then I might have been stuck there. Like, who knows? Like, I'm really glad I studied abroad the time I did. Yeah, before quarantine, I used to commute every day to get to college and back home, and it's very energy draining. Yeah, I feel like it's underestimated how much just traveling like exhausts you. Like, I would not want to have a long commute to either work or school because I just feel like it wouldn't be worth it. Like, some people travel like an hour to get to work and then an hour to get home, and I couldn't do that. Yeah, I agree. Doctor Who used to be great. I'm not really into it anymore. Like, since the 12th Doctor, I don't keep up with it really. Like, I watched a few of the 13th Doctor episodes and then I haven't kept up since then. Like, my favorite era is the 11th Doctor with Amy Pond as his companion. Hmm. Well, we got another engineer, biolog biologist, economist. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Yeah, that seems to be like an up and coming field, like a very popular, like I feel like tech and science is becoming a very popular field. Unfortunately, that's not really my expertise, but yeah, that's a good field to be in right now. You sing words when you learn them or do the accents. I've heard that before. I don't know. I guess it just hasn't clicked with me yet. That's a good idea though. Saying the words when you learn them might help memory. Okay, I'm probably gonna do the live stream for maybe like 15 more minutes. So if you have any more questions or there's anything else you want me to talk about, now would be a good time. Thank you for watching it for this long, those of you who have been here for a while. Yeah, it's not good to not talk when you're doing a live stream. I feel like sometimes I'm too serious. I look too serious when I'm filming videos, especially if I'm trying to just get information across. But I don't want to be like telling myself to like smile more, because I don't want to be one of those people. That's cool. I've also made typology videos before, but you're currently in a creative block mode at the moment. Yeah, that happens to all of us. I actually I regret leaving my channel. Like I started it, I want to say 2016, and then it was like I was connecting with people and everything was going well. Like I felt I had a lot of engagement, and then I just I stopped posting videos for like a year or two, maybe a year, something like that. And then I feel like it never really recovered since then. So I wish I had kept posting videos. Yes, I am wearing a wig. If you're freaked out by my hair color. Yes, I'm wearing a wig because I was talking about Amy Pond, who is a character on Doctor Who, and she has natural, beautiful ginger hair. And I cosplayed as her at the only Comic-Con I've been to, so that's why I have this wig. And I decided I should just have some fun and wear it, because I feel like you don't really have much excuses to wear wigs unless you're Halloween or a cosplay. I kind of wish you could just wear it anytime you want. You just go to school and be like, oh, I feel like wearing a wig today, and just wearing your wig. I mean, maybe some people do that, but I mean, it does kind of get uncomfortable after a while of wearing it. I don't know if I would choose to wear it all day. That's cool, INTP Paul. You sound like you're like probably like a 5 Enneagram with all like your interests in learning and stuff like that. Yeah, I feel like my 5 Enneagram is pretty strong. Like, I really like researching stuff that I find interesting. Thanks for making videos. They're really helpful. Oh, you're welcome. I'm really glad it helps you. Like, it makes me happy to know that it's, you know, it's helping you guys in some way. Oh, back to the teasing the INFP. She said not to tell her that she said to me to tease her. That does kind of sound like, I don't know how old this INFP is or her friend, but it does sound suspicious if she's asking you to tease her, but it's like, oh, don't tell her that I told you. Like, she might know that the INFP likes you, but she's too shy or something, and want to she doesn't want her to know that she's telling you to kind of like make a move by teasing her or something. But I mean, like I said, like I don't really know the details, but it does kind of sound a little suspicious. Yeah, a lot of INTPs are fives, but yeah, I could just tell when you were like telling me facts about like Norwegian and stuff. I'm like, that sounds like something I would do if I was interested in it. Enneagram fives. Oh, thank you. Overall, you find my video content to be quite insightful and unique. That means a lot. 5 wings 6. Cool. Yeah, I mean, like, if you guys are interested, I could do more videos about Enneagram. I haven't really done, like, I like mention them in my videos, but like, I think I've only done one video that's strictly about Enneagram, and that was a while ago. Oh, I did watch your video on turning 30. I realized your concerns and existential nihilism were similar to mine, so maybe it's fairly normal, nothing to worry about. I don't know. I mean, I guess like a lot of like I actually got a lot more connection with that video than I ever expected. Like I didn't think the video would do well at all. I'm like, no one cares I'm turning 30. But like I feel like it connected with more people than I expected, which is great. Um it's still hard though to like I feel like it's hard if you overthink. Like I feel like you see too much of the world and it's just like how can you not be depressed by just thinking about all of that? Like I was just thinking about that today actually, like just thinking of like life and like how everything is just going towards death and everything. I'm like, how could you not be depressed like thinking about that? What type do I think Amy Pond is? Did I like Clara Oswald too? I liked her so much when she was in the show. I think Amy Pond is an ENFP. And I didn't like Clara Oswald. I found her character to be a little annoying. I especially didn't like her with the 11th Doctor. Um, yeah, she wasn't like I know a lot of people liked her, but she wasn't one of my favorites. And I didn't really watch much of her with the 12th Doctor because I just lost interest at that point. All INFPs have experienced nihilism. Well, I guess that's kind of encouraging. Like, I need to get more INFP friends, I guess, then, so we can, like, relate with our nihilism. I mean, this isn't really related, but, like, I found this old INFP blog yesterday, and I had this like super weird feeling, like when it's like you kind of see yourself like reflected in someone else, and it's like you're seeing, like you're looking back at your reflection, and it was like super weird because like the way this INFP was writing was like so similar to like my inner thoughts, and I was like, who is this person? I need to be friends with her immediately. And I couldn't find any way to contact her because her blog was, well, she actually had like a bunch of like side blogs, which is like so typical of INFP, and she kind of like fell off with all of them. So like, yeah, none of them are active anymore. Well, she hasn't posted in several years, and there is no way to contact her. But like, I feel like it's kind of rare that I feel that like connection where I was like, wow, like we have so, like we're so similar, I guess, in that way. And like I don't feel that way with all INFPs. I feel like it's common for like people of the same type to not necessarily get along with people of their same type. Cause like that I think about it, like I don't really have any INFP friends. Like either like in real life or, well, that's not true. There is another INFP girl who I friended on social media, but we never really, like we're not like friends. But anyway, like I don't know if like you guys ever have that moment when you're like looking back at like another person of your type and it's like so similar to yourself. You're like, whoa, that was scary. Like I feel like she was more voicing like, I feel like she was more honest in a way, like without filters. Like maybe when I was younger and I wasn't as filtered, like I feel like she was like saying some of the stuff I might have said when I was younger. Oh, ESFP here. Cool. One of my besties is an INFP. I used to get concerned when she would disappear, but I got used to it after 10 years. Time doesn't feel lost when we reconnect. Yeah, that's something a lot of people um, find worrisome about INFPs is that they tend to disappear on them and they're just like, what happened? Why are they disappearing? I don't feel like I do that. It's hard to tell because like I don't have many friends that I keep consistent contact with anymore. But I am infamous for like being bad at replying to messages. And that makes a lot of people like angry or upset, especially if they have like anxious attachment style, because that just triggers their attachment style. They're like, why aren't you answering my messages? So yeah, I can I can drop off the grid like that sometimes. But I feel like it's hard to say exactly why specifically a certain INFP is doing that, because it could be for different reasons. But that's good that it's like you're still friends and now you know she's gonna like come back and everything will be fine. I mean, I still feel kind of bad. There was this TI, or not TI, TE dominant guy. He was either ESTJ or ENTJ. And we would like message every once in a while. And then he messaged me, and I knew I took a while getting back to him, but I didn't realize just how long. It was almost like a year. But to me, it was like no time had gone by. And I was just like, hey. And then I guess that didn't go over well because then he just like never contacted me again. Like I probably triggered his loyalty standard, because like TE dominance can be real big on loyalty, and it's like if you mess that up, they're like, I'm done with you. Like I didn't mean to, like, but yeah, I can see how like not talking to him for a year would give the wrong message. I'm sorry. think it may depend on Enneagram as to whether INFPs get on. I I can agree with that. Like similar Enneagram may help. Like I don't feel as connected to like INFP 9 Enneagrams. Like I feel like they're like surprisingly different than I am in many ways, and it's something that doesn't mesh well with me. So I could see like finding like a fellow like an INFP 4 Enneagram that I might get along better with than a 9 Enneagram. People who know me in real life know that I do disappear sometimes. Yeah, you don't do it out of pettiness, but yeah, you're either too anxious or too busy. I think it is a lot of the same for me. Something I realize is that sometimes I don't respond to messages because of anxiousness. Like, it's a weird either like I feel socially anxious about replying to their message, or I put it off, especially if it's a long message that I have to write, just because I'm like, oh, I don't feel like it right now, or like, oh, it has to be a good message, like the perfectionism, like putting that off. And like, sometimes I am busy as well, like that has happened where like people have misunderstood that like I wasn't answering them, but it was because I was busy. But like sometimes that's not the reason. It's just like I'm anxious and avoid it, or I put it off because of my perfectionism. But yeah, I feel like it helps if people you want to become friends with that like kind of accept that about you and don't get offended and hurt or mad or angry, that they realize like, okay, like I know you're gonna come back. But yeah, it's not on purpose or out of pettiness for sure. That's good. As long as you stay in contact in social media or text, you're good. Hello. Yeah, perfection. If you know any, how would you describe your connection with your cognitive duals, assuming ESTP, function-wise? My connection with them. Um, I would say most of the time we're just so different from each other. Like we don't really naturally like go towards each other. There was an ESTP who was like briefly like interested in me, and he was like super strong at coming on to that, like very aggressive. And I like kind of indulged it even though I wasn't interested, just because I was like, okay, like I'll get to know this person. And like I feel like that's something I have to that gets me in trouble sometimes, is that like I find people interesting because of like their stories, or like not necessarily I'm attracted to them, but it's just like, oh, they seem interesting, I want to know about them. But then it's like, oh no, I just like, I gotta watch that. Like if my NE comes out too much, it could get me into trouble sometimes. But anyway, like he was just flat out very blunt, like basically, and in his interest towards me, and like we didn't have anything in common, and like I wasn't even like considering it really. But yeah, it's interesting of like I'm not really sure what he found attractive in me. But like ESTPs, like some of them can be kind of like funny and endearing, but some of them like go too far. Like there was like a teacher I had who was an ESTP, and I liked him. Like he would tell like corny jokes, and he would always be like joking around, but like he was like a nice guy. But then there's been other, like, there's been a couple, like, in my opinion, ESTPs don't do good in authority positions. Like, teachers are one thing, but, like, authorities, like, where it's like they're like the boss or like an authority figure over like a big group of people, because they don't know how to filter what they're saying, and they say the wrong thing a lot, or they like offend people, or it's like they just don't know when to stop talking and they say things they shouldn't say. But like for the most part, it's just like I said, our interests are so different that it's like there's not really much to go on with that. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if socionics was mentioned there, because like I am not an expert on socionics. Like I know about MBTI and the functions there, but like socionics I don't know that much about. Um but yeah, in MBTI, like the INFP duals are ESTJ. I don't know. Why do you say ESFJ? Because of like the functions reversed, or like not reversed. Um like the same type of functions in the same order, like FE, FI. I would say for sure ESFJs are not good for me. ESTJs, I don't mind too much. Like, I feel like they can be kind of like, obviously with their TE, we're gonna be like a little bit harsh and maybe a little bit intimidating and like obviously very different. But like, in the experiences I've had with them, like I would say I don't mind them very much. Like I would say I understand their TI to an extent and I admire it to an extent, but it might be tiring to be around that all the time. Like it might be good for like a casual friend that you only see every once in a while. Like that might be like stimulating to help grow like my TE. Can you imagine any INFJ sharing all functions with ESTPs yet in reverse order like that as well? Um, like that in what way? Like I picture INFJs like ESTPs. I'm not really sure. I mean, I would definitely feel like, well, not definitely. But like I feel like there's a much higher chance of having shared interests with an INFJ to some extent, even if it's just like a different type, like creative pursuits. Like I know a few INFJs who are into photography, and I can get down with that because I find that interesting. It's creative, or like filmmaking or something like that. So it's like, yeah, that's like an interesting like hobby or something. But then like a lot of INFJs are into like certain other like obscure things that I have no interest in. I'm just like, okay, I'm not really interested in that, but I will say it's not my favorite thing when ISFJs are in their stress mode and they're engaging their inferior SE, because they become a lot different And like I'm not sure that side of them is my favorite, because it's like they become very kind of like impulsive and crazy, and they're like want to go out with their friends and like do something like I guess they become more extroverted and stuff. And like to me, it just kind of weirds me out when I see someone change drastically, because like I get used to seeing like I'm like building up a pattern of who someone is, and I'm like, okay, I know that they act this way. And then if they just like totally change, it just kind of throws me off a little bit. I'm like, well, how do I, move this into what this I thought this person was, and like mesh them together? Like, how do I know if they're gonna suddenly change and be like, oh, I'm gonna go all SE? ESTJs who's married to one would not recommend. There's no emotional communication, hence why ESFJ might be better. Yeah, I wouldn't say I would necessarily marry one, but like, I would be open to having one as like a casual friend. Yeah, I feel like what interests me about TE DOMs is that I feel like there's like chemistry there between them and INFPs, because it's like you consider kind of like water and fire, that kind of chemistry. But like I feel like to live with that, there could be issues, just because it's like it's so strong. It's like your opposite, your inferior function is so strong in them. Like it might be hard to do with. Like if they have no understanding of like your emotional needs, I guess. I feel like that would be hard. ESFJ, I don't want to, like I've said in my other video, I don't think they're good for INFPs personally. I feel like FE as a dominant function is just too strong, and it's going to clash too much with dominant FI. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of misunderstandings, and it's just like it's not a good thing for me. Like especially because they're not intuitive either. So there's going to be less understanding. Yeah, it does come down to what you need in your life at the time. I feel like partners for INFPs can vary a lot. Like because of like the certain needs that different INFPs need. Like some of them are drawn to like ENFJs, like others can be drawn in totally the different direction, with even like types that like you don't commonly see them with. But yeah, like it all comes down to like beyond what the typical like ideal matches are of like what you personally need in a partner, and like knowing that like knowing what your needs are, I feel like helps a lot. Okay. I'm gonna give, I said this is like 20 minutes ago, but all right, I'm gonna give like 10 minutes. Any final questions and wrapping up. If you liked my hair, give this video a like. This has been like a long live stream, but like I feel like people tend to come on near like just when I'm about to wrap up. So I don't want to just like cut it off. As an INFP, do you feel attracted to witchcraft? I don't, because of like my religious morals. Like, I'm a Christian, so that kind of like clashes with that kind of thinking. I will say that, like, not in a religious way, but like I really admire and like nature. I don't know. I guess that's all I have to say about that. Oh, why am I so cool? I love your vids. Keep them coming. Well, I shouldn't say coming, but thank you. I am flattered that you think I'm cool because it's I feel like I'm very awkward. Do you like astrology? Would you associate certain signs with certain MBTI types? I wouldn't say I'm obsessed with astrology, but like I do find it kind of interesting just to try to see if there's any connections between like compatibility between signs, or if like your sign actually describes your personality or not. I actually started keeping like a little note on like certain people that I know in life, and kind of like putting down their astrology signs and like section it into different like people I'm attracted to, people I'm friends with, people I dislike, family and stuff, just to see if I could like see any patterns between them. And like I'm not sure if I've found any like yet, but like it's kind of interesting to keep tabs on. Um I feel like it's hard to associate the signs with certain MBTI types, cuz like if you get too stereotypical, like it's not going to be accurate. Like a lot of people, like I'm a Gemini, so a lot of people are going to be like right off, oh, that's ENTP or that's ENFP. And I'm an INFP, and like I certainly don't fit like the stereotypical description of like a Gemini being extroverted and talkative and crazy and stuff like that. But like I do fit some of like other certain types of qualities. Like I feel like if you go too stereotypical and like, okay, these certain MBTI types are going to be this astrology sign, like it's not going to be accurate. Do I sing? What's my favorite song? I don't really sing. I wish I had a good voice, but alas, I don't really. Um, I don't have one particular favorite song. I like to listen to like a lot of different music. So I can't say like I have one particular favorite, but I don't know. Like I'm trying to think of like certain artists I could say, but even then I'd be like, well, it's not my favorite artist. I have a lot of different favorites. I was actually thinking of doing some type of video that like I couldn't really figure out how to make it work, but of saying um like new discoveries of like I don't even know, like I like artists that have songs that depict like raw feelings, because like I find those types of songs really good, and like I could think of like a couple different artists that I like recently discovered that have those kinds of songs. So who knows, maybe I'll try to make some kind of video about that. Yeah, it's been a long live stream. My throat's getting dried out. Okay. Thank you guys for joining. I really appreciate it. If you go back to the beginning of my live stream, I talk about Doctor Who and English culture and some of the types I met in England. Otherwise, I guess I will see you next time. I appreciate all your questions. And I enjoyed getting to wear a wig for this. A little bit of a fun. Alright, thanks guys. Bye.